I went to bed with a snug and cozy blanket over me, looking forward to a new day full of possibilities. And suddenly, I was jolted awake by this mysterious force. And where was I? I was on a pale pink rough ground. Am I in Mars? I asked myself. Mars is red, you idiot, my inner voice teased me. Must be a dream then. I pinched myself only to realize that this was brutal reality. I am lost! I freaked. I didn't have any more time to waste, so I got up clumsily on my feet and I ran towards the opening ahead of me when gush! There was a huge wave of tsunami that swept me in the opposite direction. I was horror-stricken, suffocating, gasping for breath. And in the midst of all this, I knew one thing for certain, that I was at the brink of death. Because I was going to land in a bottomless pit. I fell and I kept falling like Alice in Wonderland in a vertical dark tunnel as dark as death itself. I already knew my heart had stopped beating and my head was going to thrash any minute. But somewhere I wanted all of this to happen as soon as possible because I wanted that moment of peace where everything would end and my agony would vanish. And boy, did I just land? Of course I did. On a cradle, huge. This was far from what I expected, and I still couldn't come out of the shock that I had landed, and I'd landed safely. I was so tired, my mind and body were so exhausted that I didn't know when, but I just drifted to sleep. And not before long, I was woken up by a warm and wet feeling under me. Shit, had I just peed? Of course not. I looked around in the darkness and I could sense that there was warm water getting gradually filled in the tub. Wow, this was a jacuzzi and I was in for a nice hot water bath. I made myself comfortable and I was looking forward to get immersed in this bliss. Wait, who increased the temperature? The water was getting hotter by the minute, hotter by the second, and my skin started burning like somebody had thrown acid on it, and my only reflex was to jump out. Oof. And what did I see ahead of me? Eeks! Creepy, disgusting! I saw a horizontal narrow tunnel which had 1,000,000 snakes crawling on its inner wall. I am someone who doesn't even go to the reptile area when I visit the zoo. Am I in hell? Was I such a big sinner that I landed in a place like this with the thoughts that were running in my mind? But I am human and survival is my only instinct. So I decided to walk my way through the tunnel. I mustered all the courage I had and I started walking. It was a tunnel which had kind of flying snakes because their heads were stuck to the wall and the tails were protruding into the tunnel in a wave-like motion. I tried as much as possible to avoid touching them, but I couldn't. And it was a really long tunnel which had 1,000,000 hairpin bends. And every time I took a turn, I was hoping for a less torturous journey. In vain. I almost always ended up in disappointment. And after what seemed like eternity, I finally came to the end of the tunnel, and what did I see ahead of me now? Another tunnel. God damn, what's with these tunnels? Yeah, I've had enough of tunnels now. But I could sense a sudden surge of energy in me, the kind of strength you get when you faced adversity. I felt braver, like Jennifer Lawrence from the Hunger Games, just that I didn't know who nominated me for this and I never volunteered for sure. I was braver now, so I ran for life and I ran as fast as I could. I didn't count how many times I fell down because I knew nothing could stop me. this tunnel was broader and cleaner, thankfully, and it had only 3 bends, so I had to make only 3 turns. Nevertheless, the journey was very long. It was almost like a full marathon that I'd run. And at the end of it, as unpredictable as this journey could get, I saw a small slide. I didn't know what was at the end of the slide. I had to slide down to figure out what was there. So I slid down, and I was in a small room. At the center was what looked like a recliner. So I pounced on it like a starving lioness on meat. Heaven in hell. That was the irony. It was as comfortable as comfort could get. I was still anticipating danger though. And in a couple of minutes, the same mysterious force that put me on the pink ground uprooted me from the recliner, and I was thrown against the wall opposite me, and just the moment when I was going to hit the wall, it split open magically and I dived into a yellow pool. A beautifully scented yellow pool full of yellow flowers. After being swept by the tsunami-like wave, after being burnt by the acid-like water, after having walked my way through the snake tunnel, and after having run for life, here I was. In daylight, freedom. I was out of it, and I was out of it alive. And that, my friends, is the journey of a piece of undigested food through the human digestive tract. Over to you, Toastmasters.